This is a critical year in the history of the Republican Party in this state, and there is no finer person to be leading our ticket, pulling out our base, and attracting independents and unaffiliateds to our ticket. So please join me in welcoming to his hometown the man who's going to lead us to a great victory statewide in North Carolina, Senator Richard Burr.
Thank you. Thank you. Tom, thank you for the kind introduction, but more importantly, thank you for 35 years of incredible friendship, something that I'm blessed with a lot in this crowd. Before I start remarks, I do have a son here and I do have a wife here. Would they stand up? Where are they? I think it's safe to say I wouldn't be at this podium today if it wasn't for my wife. She didn't sign up for public service. Very few do. But at certain points in life, we're called to do certain things. And what makes tremendous sense to us as individuals when we respond to that call doesn't necessarily mean that life is smooth for everybody else that might be surrounding us. So when you think about thanking me for something, know that Brooke deserves it about 10 times more than I do. You know, when I went to Washington 16 years ago, and many in this room have gotten Christmas cards ever since, you've seen my children grow from 8 and 9-year-old little boys to now 25 and 24-year-old men. I've bucked the trend. You can go to Washington and your family can turn out good. And as much credit as Brooke deserves for that, everybody in this room has played a part of that. 6 years ago, you might remember, Tyler introduced me as I got ready to address the convention and announce that I was running for the United States Senate. My family's been an integral part of my public life, my campaigns. They've interacted with many of you in this room at different times. And when I wasn't there, you've embraced my wife and my sons in your counties, in your towns, and welcomed them. Well, in due fashion, I'd like to welcome you to my town, to Winston-Salem, a place I've called home now for almost 50 years. I apologize for the fact that Nathan didn't bill us as the home of Krispy Kreme donuts. I apologize for the fact that my staff did not have Krispy Kreme donuts in the hospitality suite, but in a fashion that you have become fairly confident that I am frugal. Let me share with you that the convention center wanted $28 a dozen, and I was not going to pay that for a dozen Krispy Kreme donuts. I would like to thank the North Carolina GOP Executive Committee, all of our district chairs, our county chairs, for your willingness to serve and to do it knowing that so much is demanded and so much is at stake. We're now 16 months into the Obama administration. Let me recap for you today what we've got to show for it. 9.7% unemployment, a $13 trillion national debt, a $5.4 trillion interest obligation over the next 10 years on the money we've borrowed as a nation. Now, You understand the most popular bumper sticker in Washington right now is "Don't tell Congress what comes after $1 trillion." But to try to put this in perspective, understand that Greece as a country is about to default with $280 billion worth of debt. And Spain behind it, and Portugal and Ireland, and now we hear Hungary. If you added up the entire sovereign debt of the European Union, all of its members, it's $12.7 trillion. The United States interest obligation on the money we've borrowed, if we didn't borrow another dime over 10 years, is almost 50% of the entire debt of the European Union, the second largest economy bloc in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, now is the time. It's not 2 years down the road or 5 years down the road. We can't listen to the president say, well, in my next 4 years, he won't get 4 more years because we don't have 4 years. I've got a message for him. If this is change, we don't want it. And look at what we've passed legislatively. $787 billion stimulus package. Republicans said, well, it doesn't need to be that much, Mr. President. If anything, half of it will suffice, as long as we target it to where historically we know we create jobs, where it stimulates small business, where it gives people the confidence to go out and create a job and hire that individual. But no, the president knew better. He had favors to pay back. It became $787 billion. Across America, people are searching for where the job creation's been. The president told us it would keep unemployment from going up. In fact, it fueled further unemployment because of the concern that businesses across this country had about investing too much in a future that was so unpredictable. The challenge for us is to change direction. We saw health care come to the floor. An overwhelming majority of the American people rejected the president's health care plan. You might remember that Senator Tom Coburn and I authored the first common sense health care reform legislation in May of last year. It was the first bill in the House or the Senate introduced with our co-sponsors Paul Ryan and Kevin Nunes in the House. They looked at that health care bill that expanded coverage to 30 million Americans, that gave Governor Perdue and all 49 other governors the option of taking the Medicaid population and rolling it into a new private insurance product that we created, capping their expense, Paul, on future health care cost in the Medicaid system. And they ran over us like a speed bump in a parking lot. They ignored the fact that we did all this, everything the president said, expand coverage, reform health care, bring costs down. We expanded coverage 30 million Americans for zero in additional taxpayer contribution. When Republicans went to the House and the Senate floor, we argued from a standpoint of the fact that this health care was not real reform, that it didn't bend the cost curve down, it accelerated the cost curve up. The president twisted the arm of the head of Congressional Budget Office, and all of a sudden he made a reversal in what he had said previously, and he came out and said, yes, this will save some cost. While the president's own head of the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services said that if this is enacted, 20% of the hospitals and nursing homes in America will go out of business. The president insisted on going forward with this plan. When 57% of the American people objected to health care being passed and signed into law, Harry Reid and Nancy Pelosi rammed it through, and made sure that the president had a bill signing ceremony.